Chair recognizes the gentlelady from Texas, Ms. Jackson Lee, for 5 minutes.
Thank the chair and the ranking member for this very important hearing and oversight assessment. Let me add my appreciation to ranking member Katko for the years of service that we've had to work together in a mutual commitment to securing the homeland. And thank you for your service to the nation, and as well continue to thank you for your previous service. Thank the chairman again for bringing us together around this important issue, and to our witnesses. Let me acknowledge the 20th year of Homeland Security and the men and women who worked under that umbrella, to thank them for their service. Director Wray, let me also affirm the admiration and respect of the FBI, and I would frankly say law enforcement around the nation, and express my concern for the violent incident that happened in Cincinnati, and appreciate the fact that safety of those men and women. Let me build on the tragedy that fell upon the second in line to the presidency, the Speaker of the House, and ask the question about the depth and intenseness of political violence. Again, our time is brief, but I'd like to yield to the Secretary first, Director Wray, and to Director Abbott, if we might. And I do have other questions, so let me just quickly yield. Just the depth of political violence, which means speech driving people to violence.
Congresswoman, we, of course, are engaged when, in fact, there's a connectivity between an ideological view, a political view, and violence. That's when we get involved, and we all, the director and I, in our opening statements and in response to preliminary questions, spoke of the gravity of the threat that lone actors and small cells pose when they are driven to violence because of political ideology, ideologies of hate, anti-government sentiments, personal grievances, and other narratives propagated on online platforms. This is one of the gravest terrorism-related threats we face in the homeland.
Director Wray.
Well, Congresswoman, as I mentioned earlier, we have seen a clear trend in this country over the last several years of people across the political spectrum choosing to express their anger or upset at someone or about something through violence. And that is a very alarming trend. As Secretary Mayorkas referenced, it is exacerbated online. But it is a clear phenomenon that we are having to contend with that started several years ago.
It's going up.
It is going up.
Thank you. Director.
I would concur with my colleagues. You know, as we look at the numbers since 2010, we see that domestic violent extremism accounts for 47 attacks, over 152 deaths, and that actually pales in comparison to the 45 attacks that we've seen since 9/11 by foreign terrorist organizations.
Let me just, can I get a yes or no answer on this, because I have some other questions. Is the cyber threat coming from China and Russia intense, continuing, and ongoing?
Cyber threat, I will defer to my colleagues in the FBI and DHS.
Director Wray.
Yes.
Thank you. Director Mayorkas, let me try to, my understanding is that immigration, defense of the border, protection of the border is a federal responsibility. Is that not correct?
That is correct.
Have you seen any positive impact from the $4 billion being spent by Governor Abbott of the state of Texas, who continues to malign the work of the federal government and to some extent interfere with it and cause the National Guard, some of whom have committed suicide, to Texas National Guard, to be strained? I'm going to ask that question in the context of what Director Wray said in terms of an answer to the question about security at the border. And I think it is important to distinguish between, even though we want to stop that flow, to distinguish fleeing families with children from Venezuela, Cuba, Haiti, et cetera, from the work, the strain of cartels, smuggling of human smuggling, smuggling of fentanyl. Those criminal elements we're all fighting, I assume, to bring that down. Can you distinguish and tell me whether you've seen any impact from the $4 billion that one state happens to be using of state tax dollars taken away from the needs of the people of Texas that has impacted the work that you're doing as a federal officer to protect the border?
Congresswoman, let me answer the question this way. We advance the law enforcement mission when we work collectively, collaboratively, and in a coordinated way. When there is a deliberate effort to not coordinate, it can and indeed has been quite counterproductive.
Young lady's time has expired. Chair recognizes